Okay, what is up, guys? It's your favorite transparent YouTuber, Transparent Hoodie, back at it again with another video. This time we're not doing a live reaction. We're basically going to be doing a discussion slash, I kind of want to say, just top 10 video, because it technically is a top 10 because I have 10 things in here, and then you're reading the title, so there's that. So these are the 10 things that we need from Devil May Cry 5. Some of them are more, I want to kind of say some of them are asking a lot from the game, if you want to say that, because like I said, like the game, or like I've been saying, the game is coming out probably less than a week right now. So there's a lot of things that I would personally like to see the game have, but I mean, if the game have it in one way or shape, I mean, it's all fine by me, as long as the game has it represented in some way. But these are the 10 things that I'm going to be looking out for when the game comes out. And I'll also talk about like my brief summary and my brief thoughts on why I want these things in the game for me personally as a Devil May Cry fan. And if you guys agree, let me know. If you guys disagree, also let me know. So right now we're gonna get into the top 10 of what I would like to see from Devil May Cry. So starting us off. Starting us off, the one thing I do want to see, or I do want to know, is I want a clear timeline of events for Devil May Cry. And basically what I mean by that, when I say I want a clear timeline, I want everything to flow properly. Not saying that fans already haven't like debunked some of the, you know, what's canon, what's not canon, but I would like Devil May Cry 5 to concretely just set us on our path from beginning to end. Like, what is the beginning, what is the end? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, there's certain things that obviously make sense, you know, like, when it comes to the Devil May Cry games, those are most of their canonical games. Those are the games that makes canonical sense with the storyline of Devil May Cry, right? The other things that I do want to know is are they a part of the canon? Is probably some of the novels, maybe some events in the anime, maybe, yeah, novels, anime, and manga. So those three things are mostly what I'm concerned about, whether are they going to reincorporate them into the series, or are they 100% non-canon? Because we see that they're bringing back Morgan from the anime series. They reinvented him into a whole new thing. So that's what I want to know. Like, are they going to be taking some of the lore from these other properties, like the anime, the novels, and the manga, and repurposing them for Devil May Cry 5? Also, are they also going to be considering some of the events that happens in Devil May Cry, you know, 2? Because for the most part, like Devil May Cry 1, 3, and 4, we know have some sort of homage or some sort of reference throughout the Devil May Cry 5 franchise. But Devil May Cry 2, for the longest of times, we don't really get, or we haven't really gotten much of whether or not it's a part of this storyline, like whether the characters or the events ever happened, or does it even matter if it happened in Devil May Cry, you know? So I do want them to explain and break down what's the timeline through the game. Obviously, I don't want them to just have a character sit around and just talk about what's canon and what's not canon, but, you know, sprinkle it throughout the game of what is canon within Devil May Cry, or have it represented in cutscenes, so on and so forth. All right, this is the number 2 thing that I definitely want to see in Devil May Cry 5. I definitely want to see a demon bio and a legacy bestiary for all DMC. Like, I understand Devil May Cry has always garnered itself as a fighting game, and I understand that it is probably one of the most notable fighting, or not really fighting games, but one of the most beat-em-up games that we have out there, with such like versatility and so many cool and different combos that you can do within the game. But like, I like to read, and I am not shy from just taking maybe 2 hours reading up on all the lore for some demons, some variants of demons, godly figures, deities, reading up on Dante all over again, reading up on Virgil and his history. Like, I am 100% down for that. Like, if they can give us something like that in game, where we're able to see not just the creatures and not just the characters for Devil May Cry 5, but all of Devil May Cry, where we could just go back and just read up on some of the history for some of these characters, and nothing too crazy. I'll probably say like maybe like a page or 2 on these characters. I'm 100% down for that, because we can get some more insight on some of these creatures and some of these demons. Also, we can get some more insight on some of the heroes that we've grown up to know and we probably don't know. Because do think that Devil May Cry have data books of information about these characters, but I would like that to be represented in the game and maybe a little bit more information on top of that. Because I think that would be just so dope. Like, not saying this is the last Devil May Cry, but if anything, if this is going to be their last Devil May Cry for a while, let's say that, then I would definitely love the idea of just being able to just straight up, you know, like straight up just take the time and read some of these like demon bios. Alright, so this is my number 3. And this is the one thing that all of you guys love to call me out on this. And you know, it's fine, you know, like, it is a very weird stance that I have when it comes to Nero and Virgil. But I'm gonna say this for you guys though. If anything, in Devil May Cry 5, most likely this is gonna be the case, but I'm just gonna reiterate it for the video. But I want there to be concrete confirmation. Like, I want there to be in-game confirmation that Nero is Virgil's son. And I already know a lot of you guys are gonna get at me for this. I already know it's confirmed. I already know that it's a thing. But my thing though is, like, most of the confirmation that I've seen online, whether it was from word of mouth, whether it was from like interviews that was done like back in 2008, 2009, like very old interviews when Devil May Cry 4 was first a thing and then a resurgence for the special edition, like, there's a lot of confirmations. I'm not here to debunk a confirmation. That's literally impossible. I can't do that. But my thing though is, my argument for a lot of that is a vision could change. And where I'm going with that is, if they originally had it in mind that Nero was going to be Virgil's son, it's very possible now, given that Devil May Cry 5 is literally like years after 4. And then, you know, like, visions do change over time, like how you want a character to be, how you want a character to be represented. Like, all of those things can change depending on like who's developing the story and depending on how do you want the story to progress, you know? And this is for the books, if you guys want to put it on the books. For me personally, I feel like, and this is just personal, like, this is not I'm pulling from the lore, I'm not pulling from any of the history, this is just a personal thing for me. When it comes to Nero as a character, I think he has, and this is arguable too, but Nero as a character, to me, I 100% think that when it comes to him, there could be so much more to him as a character and to the Devil May Cry franchise, you know? I only say that because, like, when you have Nero just be the son of Virgil, it kind of tethers him and limits him as a character because he's just another son of Sparta. It doesn't really give them any room or space to do anything interesting or new with the character. That's why I like some of those off-brandish theories where Nero could potentially be a Nephilim. He's half demon, half angel. Or he's a individual that was embedded with Sparta's power. Who knows? Like, stuff like that to me sounds more interesting because it makes the story of Devil May Cry 5 and for Nero a little bit more elaborate. It gives him more context as his own individual character. The Sons of Sparta will always be Virgil and Dante. Even if Nero is Virgil's son and not necessarily Sparta's offspring, it would still make the character feel a little bit more unique in the sense where he's his own individual character. The reason why a lot of the things that happen connects him to Virgil is a matter of circumstances, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't concretely mean that he's Virgil's son. I feel like the developers can dance around the fact that maybe Nero is potentially someone else's offspring, but at the same time could still use some of these demonic weapons like Yamato, and being able to manifest some of his energy like Yamato's perfect Susanoo of Virgil, you know? But again, I could be 100% wrong, and I'm not here to debunk anything. I could be wrong, I could be false, the game could prove me wrong, but if anything, I do want to see in-game confirmation though. Like, they don't have to have a long, drawn-out cutscene of, like, you know, some like weird interaction like Vegeta and Trunks has in Dragon Ball Z, like, father, like, I mean, we don't need all of that. I mean, if Nero acknowledges Virgil as his father in game, I feel like it should be something very simple, kind of like a head nod, like, okay, you're my dad. I mean, you weren't in my life to begin with, so I'm not really going to be choked up or upset about it, you know? Like, unless Virgil makes the effort to actually be a competent father, then that's a whole other argument for a whole nother day. But that would be kind of cool to see if Virgil actually wants to make the conscious effort to actually, like, rekindle a father-son-like relationship. But that would be kind of crazy. Okay, so that was number 3. Number 4. The fourth thing I definitely want to see from this game, a satisfying ending. And like I said before, I'm not here to say that Devil May Cry 5 is the last game. We do not know. We do not know until we get it on the 8th, right? So, so if anything, I'll say this. Regardless of how this game ends, I personally want it to satisfy me. And I feel like that's such a subjective statement and it's going to differ from fan to fan. But me being a fan of Devil May Cry since, I want to say, middle school, right? I just want an ending where I could sit down and just think back to myself like, wow, I truly underwent an experience. Whether one of the Devil May Cry's, if one of the Devil May Cry characters, you know, die or something like that, like something crazy happens where either we lose Dante, we lose Trish, or we lose Lady, one of them is gone, then by all means do it, you know, like you can wrap it up. Dante's story, Virgil's story could be wrapped up within the game and we just move on to Nero. Or if we even get a happy ending where no one dies and everybody lives on happily and stuff like that, I do still want it to be satisfying in some way or shape. Whereas like maybe Dante retires and he's no longer the a Devil May Cry affiliate. So something, you know, something that would make me just feel content about the game. At this point in time, obviously, like as a fan, I don't know what I want. And I feel like that's the thing about a lot of fans for the most part, they don't necessarily know what they want. So I would just feel like those are some of the options that I would like to be presented with if I'm playing this game to its conclusion. You know, like just a wholesome ending. Whether someone dies, whether they live and they have a happy ending and Dante passed on the mantle, I would do love to have like a happy ending for everything. So that was my number 4. And this is my last one. Is Devil May Cry 2 canon? Because that's the biggest thing I do want to know from Devil May Cry 5. Are they going to completely scrap DMC2? Or are they going to repurpose it in some way or shape? Because for the most part, like, from all the trailers that we've gotten and all, like, the, I guess, showcases, all the events that was held, all the gameplay that was revealed, like, for the most part, Devil May Cry 2 really haven't been mentioned much. I think the one time I heard Devil May Cry 2 been mentioned, and you guys can correct me, definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but I literally think the one time Devil May Cry 2 was mentioned was during the Dante trailer when Dante was riding to the screen in his motorcycle and everybody was just assuming like, oh yeah, that definitely have to be the scene where Dante is getting out of hell from Devil May Cry 2. And I was a part of that camp too. I was saying the same thing. That's why I was saying that Devil May Cry 2 must like have to be like incorporated in this game some way, somehow. But you know, after trailer upon trailer has been coming out, after different developers has been speaking on the game itself, like I'm not 100% sure whether or not like that's true or not, you know. So it's kind of really hard to say. That's why I would love for the game to at least reference some events. Like if they could reference Arias, that's dope. If they can reference something, that would be super dope to me. And that's the funny thing about even this right here. Even in the story so far, you don't really, or I haven't seen any like Devil May Cry 2 references at all. Like, yeah, I haven't, like, this is the story so far, letting you know all of the events that happens prior and that's going to take place during Devil May Cry 5, right? And all the information that we know about the franchise so far. But they don't even give us anything Devil May Cry 2 related, so like, I would like to know is Devil May Cry 2 a part of the canon or not? Because if it isn't, I mean, it sucks that we're not going to get my girl Lucia back, and it's going to hurt that, you know, a lot of those events kind of just are thrown into the wind. People do dub Devil May Cry 2 as probably the worst, but I don't think they call it the worst because of the story. I think it's mostly because of Dante. Dante is just so like unenergetic in that game. Like he just doesn't give you that reminiscent Dante feel. He's more stoic in Devil May Cry 2. That's why a lot of people don't, or really just dismiss Devil May Cry 2 entirely. But I still would like to know if this game is within the canon or not. Just reference it. One reference, I'll be fine. I'll be cool. I'll be cool with it. Just one reference. So now the last 5 things are more gameplay oriented and stuff I want to see from gameplay. And the very first thing that I do want to see from gameplay is probably going to be a little mixed bag of feelings. But I'll let you guys know this. I want to see some things. This is number 6 now. I want to see some things from DMC Devil May Cry, yes, the reboot, come back. So what I mean by that is basically what I want to see happen is I want some of the gameplay functionalities in DMC Devil May Cry 2 make a comeback. After seeing some of the gameplay, and they didn't showcase everything, but after seeing small tidbits of the gameplay, the one mechanic that I would love to see that comes back from DMC Devil May Cry the reboot into Devil May Cry 5 is definitely the traversal one. The way how they were able to contort and move things from the reboot and be able to just repurpose it in a way where they're able to just go from one area to another, I thought that was so dope. I hope Devil May Cry 5 brings that back, but not in the typical fashion of kind of like puzzles. Because I do know Devil May Cry, they always had this thing with puzzles where you would have to get this item, put it with that item, so you can open up a new realm so you could just walk through. No, I want something crazier. I want Nero to be able to use his snatch ability to be able to hang glide, pull on like a lever, pull himself up to an edge, and be able to do a bunch of crazy stuff, kind of like how Dante in the reboot was able to just go from one area to another. He was able to break down areas to be able to traverse them. Like, I just don't want this game to kind of be just I'm walking from point A to point B. I want this game so that I'll have fun going through the different areas. That's one thing I want to come back from DMC Devil May Cry. Besides that, I mean, when I played the demo, when I played the demo for Devil May Cry 5, I think everything else to me is pretty adequate. You know, like it's amazing, it's great. You know, like the combat system is very fluent. The combat system is very fluent, very responsive. When it comes to playing as Nero, Nero is very responsive to your commands. He doesn't really give you much pullback, so that's great. The dodging system, I would say that's the one thing I would want back in DMC. A genuine dodging system, but by all means, like the way how it is fine. But if there is like an upgrade in the game where they give you the ability to either roll or dodge, or maybe the ability was in the demo but I wasn't utilizing it, that would be dope too. Because the one thing I did love about DMC Devil May Cry the reboot was the mobility that Dante had. Like, not only was the character fluent and didn't really feel too stiff, but he had this level of flow to his moveset that made him a lot of like really fun to play. So if they can incorporate those few things from the reboot into this game will be amazing. But for the most part, I feel like Dante already embodies a lot of that already, so it would be dope. Dante and V, but it would be dope to see see more of that. I do want to see more of that for these characters. All right, next thing. This is for me. So I want to see more insane and fun difficulty options. So I remember in DMC Devil May Cry the reboot, there was a game mode called Hell in Hell, or there was a difficulty called Hell in Hell and Heaven in Hell, right? I think Hell in Hell, you die in one hit. Wait, was it? No. Hell in Hell was you as the player die in one hit, but all your enemies get regular health bars, right? And I think the difficulty was set to Dante must die for the enemy. So your enemies got Dante must die levels of health, but you die in literally one hit. I want that game mode to come back, because when I first played, wait, excuse me guys. Ooh, cough. So when I first played DMC Devil May Cry, that was the dopest game mode to me. Hell in Hell and Heaven in Hell. Heaven in Hell, I believe it was something along the lines of your enemies die in one hit, but you also die in one hit. So that, please bring those two difficulties back. On top of obviously the normal difficulties for Devil May Cry: Human, Devil Hunter, Dante Must Die. The only other difficulty I do want them to also bring back for the franchise for Devil May Cry 5 is Legendary Dark Knight mode. Because I'm sorry, man, like I don't know what is it about beat 'em up games, but when they just throw a bunch of enemies at you and you just have to take them all out, it's just such the most satisfying, especially when you're playing as Virgil. Because I remember for DMC 4, the special edition with Virgil, when you get to play as him, the funnest and dopest thing to do was when you have all these enemies around you lined up, oh my god, that divine cut was just so satisfying, man. Like that would that's the most satisfying feel you can ever get from a DMC game. I don't care what anybody says, it has to be up there in the top 5 at least for some people, where you have a bunch of enemies lined up and you just hit them with that one divine cut. Beautiful. I love it. Like, You can't take that moment away. Like, that moment will always give me goosebumps. Always. Alright. So, after difficulty options, I think we're on, hold up, I have my list right in front of me. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 7. We're on number 7 right now. So for number 7, I want unique story modes for all the characters. And I know that's asking a lot. Unique story modes and cutscenes for all the characters. I do know that the story mode or the game itself has a cameo system where there's
games play best.
It's gonna happen.
Xbox One.
There's going to be sections of the game where characters intercross with one another, right? Where Nero is going to meet V, V is going to meet Dante, Dante meet Nero, Nero meets Dante is going to happen. So, of course, a lot of those cutscenes are going to be similar with one another, right? The one thing that I do want to add as well is I would like to see unique enemies for both Dante, V, and Nero, having all of them have to go up against different enemies, because for the most part, I've seen all of these guys fight Goliath. I hope that was just for demo reasons. Like, I hope they all don't really fight Goliath, you know? That would be such a weird thing to have everybody do, you know? So I do hope that all of them have their own unique bosses. I do hope that all of them have their own unique enemies, and they have their own unique cutscenes. You know, just to differentiate the characters and make them feel a little bit more unique. Yes, it's asking for a lot, but if they could do something along those lines, I would just be ecstatic, man. Like, I'll be super happy. I'll be super dope. I just don't want a whole Devil May Cry 4 situation where you get to a certain point with Nero and you go back down with Dante and they're literally just fighting the whole same type of enemy, you know? Like, I really don't want that to be the thing. So, that's just my stance on it. Hold up, that's my fault. These coughs. Alright. So, number 8. I want to see Virgil DLC. I wouldn't be surprised because if they add Virgil as a playable character in the game, this game it's already striding more than I ever thought it would. Like, it went from a 10 out of 10 to a 15 out of 10, you know what I mean? Like, if they could add Virgil in the base game without him being DLC, that's crazy. But if he isn't, it's understandable, you know? They had to work on so many different characters, making them unique. Maybe something or someone like Virgil would take a little bit more time to actually get his moveset, his feel right and perfect for Devil May Cry 5. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make it into the base game, but as DLC, because I would love to have him as DLC if he's not in the base game. Also, they haven't really shown much gameplay on them, so I'm just going to say that they might not be in the core game, but I would also like Trish and Lady as like DLC characters too. We do have versions of those two characters in Devil May Cry 4, the Special Edition, where they are playable in that game. So if they're able to just, same thing, like just find their niche, find their feel for Devil May Cry 5 and just incorporate those characters into the game. I don't want them to be copy and paste of the Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition versions. Like, I would like them to be a little bit more different and unique, and not too much, because like then you have that argument of what's really all that different from DMC 5 Trish to DMC 4 Trish in ability wise. So it's kind of just like, I don't need Trish to be a completely new character like how they revamped Nero, but definitely some subtle changes here and there wouldn't hurt, you know? And same thing for Lady. Some subtle changes here and there wouldn't hurt for her either. And this is the last thing I have on my list, but we already know we're not going to be getting Bloody Palace right away. We're going to be getting Bloody Palace sometime in, I want to say, April. So, if anything, the one thing I do want from Bloody Palace is I want to see legacy fights, man. Like, I want to see in certain stages that you get to fight old Devil May Cry enemies. Like, you get to fight Phantom again. Oh, man. You get to fight Mundus in space. Like, that would be okay, that's really asking for a lot. I know that's asking for a lot, but I think that would be so dope. Like, in Bloody Palace, like, you get to like maybe stage 50, level 50, however you want to dub it, and you get to fight Mundus in space, literally the same circumstances, just like in DMC 1, but obviously with the revamped graphics and all. So that would be sick to me. I would love to see something like that. But yeah, guys, that's all I have for my list. These are the 10 things that I wanted to see from Devil May Cry 5, and I'm assuming that you guys also want to see these 10 things too. But like I said before, guys, don't be shy. Let me know what you guys think about this top 10 list of things I want to see in the comment section down below. If there's anything that you guys wanted to see but I personally missed from my list, jot that down as well in the comment section. Just, you know, give me that feedback. Also, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. You guys take care, and I'm signing out. Peace.